The year was 2137. Space had become a place people could visit, but only a few dared to go far. Far beyond Mars. Beyond Neptune. All the way to the edges of the solar system. That's where the crew of the Odyssey V was headed. Their mission was simple: scan Pluto's dark side. The part of Pluto that never faced the sun, frozen. Silent. Blacker than space itself. The crew was made of 6 people. Captain Rhea, a serious woman with steel-gray eyes who had spent more time in space than on Earth. Dr. Lynn Aram, a young sound engineer obsessed with cosmic frequencies. Milo, the ship's AI pilot, smooth-voiced and precise. Zane, the mechanic who played guitar during quiet hours. Dr. Hana Kim, the biologist who didn't believe in ghosts. And Eli, the communications officer who never spoke much. They were 2 days away from Pluto. The ship hummed gently, wrapped in layers of silence. Then, it happened. A soft tone, just above human hearing, flickered through the ship's sound system. Lynn froze. His fingers danced across his screen, isolating the sound. He turned pale. "Captain," he said. "I think I just picked up a song." A song. Captain Rhea leaned in. "It's music. It's structured. Repeating. And it's coming from Pluto." Quote, "From the surface?" "No, from underneath it." Everyone stared at the screen as Lynn played it back. It was faint, soft, a melody like wind chimes drifting through fog. No voice. Just tones. Hana frowned. It could be space noise. Some kind of frequency feedback. Lynn shook his head. "It's not random. It has rhythm." Harmony. Zane leaned closer. "Is it human?" "No. But it's beautiful." Rhea looked out the window at the black emptiness. "How long has it been playing?" Lynn checked. 6 minutes and 42 seconds. Then, just like that, it stopped. Silence returned. They reached Pluto's orbit. The dark side loomed ahead like a shadow that swallowed light. Milo guided the ship around slowly. The sun was gone. Even the stars seemed to fade. Then Lynn gasped again. "It's back." The song had returned. Stronger now. Closer. He switched on the waveform display. The sound formed patterns. Geometric shapes. Hexagons. Circles. Spirals. Eli stared at the screen and said softly, "It's not just music. It's language." Captain Rhea gave the order. "Prepare the drone." "We're landing." They released a drone the size of a suitcase. It had lights, cameras, sensors. As it flew down to Pluto's surface, the music grew louder. They watched the feed closely. The ground was cracked and black, like shattered glass. No sign of life. No heat. No movement. But then the drone's camera picked something up. A structure. Buried halfway in ice. Covered in frost. Made of metal. It looked like a harp. A giant harp the size of a building. 30 long, thin rods standing tall in the darkness. The wind moved through them. Each rod hummed a note. Together, they made the strange music. Zane whispered. "It's an instrument," Hana added. "But who built it?" No one answered. The harp wasn't from Earth. That was clear. It was old. Too old. Lynn scanned the base of it. The metal wasn't in any Earth database. Rhea said, "Bring it back." Just one rod. The drone cut one of the rods and returned. They placed it in the lab. It was cold to the touch, even in normal temperature. Hollow. But it hummed slightly when touched. Lynn tapped it gently. It sang a soft note. Suddenly, the ship's lights flickered. The gravity shifted, then stopped. Rhea stood slowly. "Everyone okay?" They nodded. But something had changed. Milo said, "Captain, external sensors detect movement." "Where?" "Below the surface. 2 kilometers down." "How many?" Milo paused. 47. Quote, They looked at each other. Hana said what they were all thinking. "We woke something up. The music changed. Now it was louder. Faster." Eli looked pale. "It's not a message. It's a warning." They rushed to the control room. On the screen, the ground on Pluto's dark side was shaking. Cracks opened. Something was coming out. Not machines. Not people. Something else. Lynn whispered. "The song was never for us. It was keeping them asleep." Outside the ship, the dark began to move. Not shadows. Not ice. Shapes. Tall, thin, like the rods, but alive. One by one, they stepped out of the cracks, silent, watching, listening. And still, the music played, only now, it sounded like it was crying. The crew stood frozen in the control room. No one spoke. No one moved. On the screen, the shapes kept rising from beneath the frozen ground. They walked slowly, as if waking from a long sleep. Some were tall as trees. Others floated, their limbs thin like wires. They made no sound. Their skin, or whatever it was, shimmered like ice in moonlight. And still, the strange harp sang through the silence. Captain Rhea turned to Lin. How many now? He checked the scanner again. 73. What are they? I don't know. They don't give off heat. No heartbeats. No life signs. But they're alive, Zane whispered. We shouldn't have touched it. Milo's voice broke through. Captain, they are approaching the ship. Rhea's mind raced. Pull us back. Get us into orbit. Now. But before Milo could engage the thrusters, the ship's lights flickered again. Then, everything went black. Total silence. The hum of systems. Gone. The screen. Dead. Even the harp sound stopped. In the dark, someone whispered, Are they inside? Then, the emergency lights snapped on. Dim red glow, barely enough to see. Rhea drew her sidearm everyone to the lab. Now, they reached the lab. The metal rod, the one they brought from the harp, was glowing faintly. Eli stared at it, then looked around. Do you hear that? Everyone listened. A soft sound. Not music this time. Whispers. Coming from inside the rod. Lin stepped forward slowly. It's speaking. He placed his hand gently on the rod. A pulse of light ran through it. He gasped. His knees buckled. Zane caught him before he hit the floor. Lin! Lin opened his eyes. He looked shaken, pale. They're not trying to hurt us, he said softly. They're confused. Confused? They've been asleep. For a very long time. The harp was a dream lock. It kept them quiet. As long as the music played, they stayed under. Hana stepped back. We broke the song. Lin nodded. They don't know where they are anymore, or who we are. Can you talk to them? Rhea asked. Maybe. I need more time. You don't have time, Milo said calmly. They've surrounded the ship. Outside the windows, the creatures stood in rows. Silent, watching. One of them stepped forward. Taller than the rest. Its body shifted like liquid. Its head tilted. It raised a hand. The rod in the lab pulsed again. Lin gasped. He looked up at Rhea. It wants to come aboard. Absolutely not, she said. It's not asking, Lin whispered. It's remembering. Before anyone could stop it, a high-pitched sound rang through the ship. Everyone covered their ears. The rod shattered. The room filled with light, blinding, white and cold. Then it was gone. They opened their eyes. The lab had changed. It was still the lab, but not quite. The walls shimmered. The floor glowed softly beneath their feet. Outside the windows, Pluto was gone, replaced by stars, endless stars. And in the center of the room stood the tall being. It didn't move, it didn't speak, but it was there. Rhea raised her weapon. Wait, Lin said. He stepped forward. I understand now. They're not from here, not this galaxy. Not this time, Hana asked. What are they? Lin spoke slowly, the words heavy in his mouth. They're the remembered. That's what they call themselves, the remembered. They were part of something long ago. A great network of minds. They traveled across space. Shared songs, memories, dreams, Zane whispered. They used music to store their history. Lin nodded. Each harp was like a book, a living memory. But then, something went wrong. A silence fell across the stars. They went into sleep. buried themselves deep in dark places. Waiting for the song to return, Eli stepped closer to the tall being. Then, why wake up now? Lynn turned because we played the wrong note. The creature raised its hand again. This time, they saw the room change. A vision filled the air, a world full of light and music. Tall cities made of sound waves and crystal towers, creatures like the remembered, walking peacefully. Then came the darkness. A great tearing sound, a black wave. The towers shattered, the song stopped, and silence covered everything. The vision faded. They're afraid, Lynn said. They think it's happening again. Quote, Captain Rhea lowered her weapon. Then we need to show them. It's not. How? Zane asked. We don't even understand them. Lynn turned to the harp pieces on the table. He picked up a broken shard. We play them something new. Rhea raised an eyebrow. You're going to play music for them. Yes, Lynn said, but not alone. He looked at Zane. You have your guitar. Zane hesitated, then nodded. Lynn worked quickly, setting up a sound link between the guitar and the ship's system. The Remembered watched, but didn't interfere. Zane sat on the floor, guitar in hand. He took a breath. Then he played. Soft notes, gentle chords, a slow human song, a melody from Earth, a lullaby. The ship stayed silent. Then, faintly, the harp pieces vibrated. Outside the ship, the creatures turned their heads. One by one, they began to hum. Not words, not exactly music, but a sound of understanding. Harmony. Zane kept playing. The tall being stepped forward. It reached out, slowly, and touched the side of the guitar. A soft tone echoed through the room. Then it spoke, not in words, but in feeling. Lynn closed his eyes. They remember now. The ship lights returned. The windows cleared. Pluto came back into view. But the creatures were gone. Vanished. Only the broken rod remained, silent once more. Later, in the control room, Rhea looked at the stars. Do you think they're gone for good? Hana asked. No, Lynn said. They're still listening. Somewhere out there, Eli added. Maybe we're not the only ones who need music, Milo said calmly. Coordinates reset. Shall we go home? Rhea nodded. Let's bring the story back. The Odyssey V turned slowly. Behind them, Pluto's dark side was quiet again. But in the silence, if you listened very closely, you could still hear the faintest sound, a song, waiting. 2 weeks after leaving Pluto, the crew of the Odyssey V approached Earth orbit. Everything had been calm. Too calm. Zane played quiet notes in the evenings, half expecting the Remembered to return. Lynn spent long hours replaying the harp signal, running simulations. But nothing responded. Captain Rhea didn't trust it. She sat at her desk, reviewing logs. It doesn't make sense, she said. They vanished. No trace, no signal, nothing. They were memories, Lynn replied from across the room. They don't leave footprints. I don't like things I can't track, she said, especially ones that walk through my ship. Then Milo's voice interrupted Captain. You may want to see this. They rushed to the control room. On the main screen, Earth hung in the distance. But it was no longer silent. A signal was coming from Earth. The same frequency as the harp. Lynn stared. It's the same pattern. But it's coming from Earth, Hana said. That's impossible. Unless... Eli spoke quietly. They followed us. The signal was faint, buried under normal radio chatter. But the harp tone was there. Slower, softer, almost hidden. Lynn boosted the channel. Zane recognized the melody first. That's my song, the lullaby he had played on Pluto. It's being broadcast, Rhea said from Earth. Who's doing that? Milo responded, tracking origin. Location, Sector 41, Antarctica. Antarctica, Hana frowned. No one's supposed to be there. Lynn stood, we have to go. Rhea hesitated, then nodded. Prepare for descent. They landed near a long-forgotten outpost, Cold Point Station. It hadn't been used in over 20 years. The storm outside was brutal. Snow blew sideways. Temperatures dropped to -60. The team suited up and stepped into the storm. The snow crunched under their boots. Their breath fogged the visors. The outpost was dark, half buried in snow. The door groaned as they pushed it open. Inside, the air was stale. Dust floated in the weak light from their helmets. And the music was louder. It came from below. They followed it down into the sublevels. And there, in the lowest chamber, they found it. A harp. Not metal like the one on Pluto. This one was made of ice and wire. Crude. Handmade. But it played the same tones. Lynn stepped closer. Someone had carved symbols into the walls, the same spirals and hexagons they saw in the Pluto vision. And a message, burned into the wall, written in shaky English. "We remember now." The sound grew. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and just like before, they were somewhere else. Not in the station, not in the snow, but in a room made of light. The tall remembered being stood before them again, not hostile, not afraid. Lynn spoke first. "Why did you come?" The being pulsed gently. "To return the gift." "What gift?" "You gave us song. We give you memory." Then, one by one, each crew member saw visions, not their own, not human. Memories of the remembered. Long ago, in another galaxy. Planets made of sound. Civilizations that spoke in melody. And then, the silence. The loss. The forgetting. Zane felt tears in his eyes. "You were alone." Quote, "The being nodded. We were broken. But now, the song lives again." The room faded. They stood back in the cold chamber. The harp had stopped playing. Eli stared at the wall. "They're not just visitors. They're survivors. And now," Lynn said, "we're part of their story." Back on the ship, the team sat in silence. The ship rose into orbit again. Rhea looked at Earth. "Do we tell them?" "They won't believe us," Hannah said. "They might," Lynn replied. "If they hear the song." Zane picked up his guitar. He played the lullaby again. Soft. Hopeful. Milo spoke quietly. "Captain, new signal received." "From where?" "From Jupiter, Saturn, Titan, multiple points." Everyone turned toward the screen. Dots appeared. One by one, all across the solar system. Every dot played the same tones, the same message. "We are awake. We are listening. We remember." Captain Rhea stared at the map, and for the first time in her career, she smiled. They were never alone. 1 week later, the world changed. It started with a quiet tone, soft, calm, and slow. The same lullaby, now heard in cities, villages, even deserts. Radios picked it up. TVs glitched and played it. Children began humming it in their sleep. At first, people thought it was a prank. Some blamed hackers. Others said it was a message from heaven. But the deep monitoring unit knew the truth. Captain Rhea, Lynn, Zane, Eli, Hannah, and Milo sat before a full council at Earth Command in Geneva. The council demanded answers. "Are we under attack?" "No," Rhea said. "They're not enemies." "They're old," Lynn added, "much older than us. They've been here before." A long, long time ago, he played the signal. The lullaby. The room fell silent. Lynn continued. "They lost everything. Memory, song, language. They used music to survive, to sleep, to wait." One of the council leaders frowned, "And now they're awake." "They remember who they are," Eli said softly. "And now, so do we." Soon, the signals became clearer. They came from across the solar system. Pluto, Neptune's moon, Jupiter's rings, even deep under the Martian surface. Each one carried a different melody, a new memory. Scientists worked with Lynn to decode them. Artists, linguists, and musicians joined the effort. The DMU created a global broadcast network called the Memory Channel, streaming the songs around the clock. People started to listen, and strange things began to happen. In Peru, a woman painted a symbol she had never seen, but it matched one from a Saturn transmission. In Kenya, a boy played a flute tune identical to one recorded from Titan's echo caves. All around the world, people were hearing the songs and remembering. The remembered never appeared again in person, but their presence was everywhere, in sound, in dreams, in inspiration. One day, a new signal came. Unlike the others, it was visual. The screen showed a new star map, It pointed far beyond Pluto, past the air-ort cloud, a place with no name. A pulsing light marked the center. The message was clear. "We are calling you home." Captain Rhea gathered her old team, Lynn, Zane, Hannah, Eli, Milo. The DMU offered a new ship, Odyssey V, twice the size, built for deep-range travel, designed to follow the signal. As they stood in the launch bay, Rhea looked at her crew, ready to find the music. Zane smiled. "Always," Eli nodded. "Let's go hear the rest of the story." They launched into silence. Weeks passed. Then, months. The stars thinned, and finally, they reached the edge. The signal was strong now, bright and warm. Milo slowed the ship. Outside, a new world floated, dark, yet alive with light beneath its surface. Not a planet, a memory station. The last one. As they approached, a door opened. No code, no words, just music. Zane played one soft note on his guitar. The ship glided inside. No gravity, just song. All around them, lights danced. Images filled the air, of worlds lost, of voices that had faded, of beauty that once filled the galaxy. And then, they heard something new. A voice, soft, kind. "Thank you for remembering us." Captain Rhea closed her eyes. "We didn't do it alone." "No," the voice said, "you listened. That is all we ever needed." The lights faded. The ship turned slowly, back toward the stars. A final message echoed in their minds. "Tell your world, the song is never over." Years passed. The Odyssey VI returned. But Earth was different, peaceful, more united. People no longer feared the stars. They listened. Music had become language. Memory had become connection. And the remembered? They were still out there, waiting for someone else to hear their song and remember.